South Carolina oysters, a delicacy to many and a livelihood to some.
About 20 years.
Charles Dockery has been picking oysters since he was 5 years old. He has witnessed the change in population firsthand.
I could get all my oysters from here to a wall in a 10-foot space, or I might have to cover a half mile to a mile just to get the same amount. Every mound that I used to get 10 bushels off of, I get 5 off of now.
The diminishing population is due to overharvesting, pollution, and environmental changes. The SCDNR is able to close and open areas depending on the state of the reef.
Past 4 years, there are the 2 or 3 of the largest state ground leases in our area have almost been closed 50% wise for pollution.
The SCORE program with the SCDNR is in place to help restore and enhance the oyster habitat. Recycling oyster shells so they can be put back into bags and placed in the reefs are just one method that can help oyster reproduction. New oyster larva is able to regrow on the recycled shell, but there's just not enough shell, says Holly Summers.
Right now, we don't recycle enough oyster shell in the state in order to meet our replanting goals. So we always have to outsource and purchase oyster shell from other states. So with that die-off, what does that mean for us finding oyster shell to purchase? And sure enough, this past year, we had a hard time finding oyster shell.
With limited shell, the program is always trying to find ways to be resourceful with the shells they have.
Oyster bags, which we have, you can see behind me, also making manufactured wire reefs, crab pots, kind of refurbishing those.
I keep looking at the ground because this shell hash that you see here,
right?
It's still, that larva is still going to be attracted to it.
Right.
It's calcium carbonate, and so he's trying to think of ways let's mix it in some type of concrete.
The SCDNR has deployed more than 92 acres of oyster shell since 2001 and believe the oyster species is resilient enough to never go away.
Oysters, they themselves, they are ecosystem engineers. There are over 120 different species. I am confident that we can continue to grow the restoration methods and the management methods.
But for locals, oysters may be harder to come by.
It will gradually become something that is more and more protected and more scarce.
The decline is likely to continue, but locals and experts believe extinction is nowhere near. For Carolina News, I'm Caiden Dinkins.